right, so the handsome, lovely Ryan Reynolds. We all know he's one of the hottest actors in Hollywood, but how did this young lad from Vancouver make it to the big time? Well, let me give you a little background. As a kid, he had started his own improv group called Yellow Snow. Now, his first acting break came when he was just a teenager. Maybe you remember the series on Nickelodeon called 15. Now, that show didn't last long, and Ryan was put into a situation that a lot of young actors are, which is when your show ends, what becomes of your career? But it was a friend of his that convinced him to hang in. Together, they moved to Los Angeles. He was only 19 at the time, and they did it on the skids, living in cheap motels, but things started to pick up. He landed a starring role in a sitcom called Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place. Now, after that series ended, Ryan made the jump to the big screen, Van Wilder.
Well, I'm flattered. I'd love for your piece to be on me.
The In-Laws.
That would have made a great gift.
A cameo in the very funny first Harold and Kumar film.
But doctor, we don't have marijuana in this hospital.
Not to mention the big romantic comedy where he was the leading man called Definitely Maybe. And if you're a man that came of age in the 80s, his movie Adventureland could really speak to you as well. But here's where it gets even more interesting when it comes to casting Ryan Reynolds. He just doesn't do the romantic comedies and the funny, smarmy collegiate roles. He's also turned himself into a bit of an action star. And you know what? When you're a leading man, if you can do action, you get jobs. He stole scenes from Wesley Snipes in the Blade movie. He was in the new Wolverine film, but ladies, don't worry. He's not going all Chuck Norris on your ass by itself. He's still doing the rom-coms. His new film's called The Proposal, where he stars alongside Sandra Bullock.
Breakfast for the happy couple.
Oh my God, what is that?
I'm sorry.
What is it?
It's the morning.
There's his wife. Here he is, Ryan Reynolds, everybody. Welcome back, buddy.
Hey, great to be back.
Nice to see you.
Thank you.
How are you?
Very well.
Nice.
Excellent.
You do lots of different kinds of movies, but you know, a little romantic comedy with Sandra Bullock. Life could be worse.
Life could be much worse.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It was fantastic. Sandy's a friend of mine for the last 9 years. Mm-hmm. So to get to do a movie with your buddy is pretty unusual.
Really funny. She's got not many leading ladies who have action careers as well have that kind of comedy timing.
Oh, I know. It's something you can't teach. I mean, I was surrounded by the best of the best. I mean, Betty White as well, 87 years old, and that woman, woman still got it. You know, she slept her way to the top. Let's not mince words here, but she's got it. Oh my God. I mean, just like a well-placed, politically incorrect zinger at the perfect time, and you're like, how are you 87?
Yeah.
You're amazing.
Your grandmother's in the Golden Girls, and your dad in the movie is Coach.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. It's a nice pedigree,
Yeah,
you know.
okay.
Absolutely. If you do the math, it's a little weird, but yeah, it's pretty much it worked out all right. Yeah, Craig's a great guy. Huge. I love it when they actually cast a guy that looks like he could be your father.
Yeah.
You know, I've done movies where I'm like, oh, great, Woody Allen's my dad. Terrific. I can see it. Yeah.
It's harder for an actor to play off
Whoopi
that.
Goldberg's my mother. This is splendid.
Dude, it's the Modern Family. It could happen.
It really is. You're right. You're right.
Well, you know, your dad character in this is an interesting character because it's like lots of people can relate to this where they want to do something in their life that isn't following their father's footsteps or their mother's footsteps.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of drama, which I'm sure was when you told your family you wanted to be an actor.
Yeah.
That must have played well.
It was tantamount to joining like the Royal Canadian Ballet or something. It was pretty. It took a little while, you know. I actually left for Los Angeles. I'm not advocating dropping out of college, okay, at all. But I didn't drop out. I just sort of left and never came back.
Did you plan on going back?
I planned that on someday going back, maybe as a senior student. But you know, it just wasn't for me, and I ended up driving down to Los Angeles and kind of dropping off the radar for a bit. It was about 2 months before I told my parents where I was exactly, and they were none too pleased. You know,
what did they think?
I was 18 at the time, and you know, well, I got down to LA, and it was hard to. I didn't want to, call them. And if I told them the truth, I would have said, "Mom, Dad, I'm in Los Angeles. I've been here for an hour. My Jeep just got stolen, and I've been crying nonstop. But I'm fine." Yeah, so my furniture is just a collection of glued together crack pipes that it was pretty brutal. But once I started to actually work, and once I started to kind of have some modicum of success down there, then it, obviously they were into it a little bit more.
Yeah, Sandra's character is a Canadian. Did she come to you for prep?
I liked it because Sandra basically in this movie plays a pretty evil character. You know, she's a skin-covered sledgehammer in the movie.
What was one of the things what was one of her dreams about eating babies? Oh God. You had some nasty...
I told her that in one moment in the movie I said, maybe you're going to have to stop snacking on the dreams of children.
Right, that's right.
And I meant every word of it. You know, she plays a real kind of hard ass. And I like that they didn't fall into any kind of like stereotypes of Canadians. Everyone thinks we're so damn nice all the time, but you know, we'll F you up.
Yeah. And, we certainly are.
She really nailed it, you know. But what was funny was obviously, you know, she's a Canadian playing an American to stay in the country, and in real life, I was a Canadian who's just married an American, you know.
To stay in the country?
Well, no, to upgrade to really expensive health care.
Yeah, that's what you're doing.
Like, enough of this free crap. I want to pay.
That's right. I want extra.
Yeah, a lot. I don't want it to be very good.
But you want it when you want it. You don't want to wait.
Exactly, that's true. That is the one really good thing about it.
There's a big difference. Do you, are you assimilating? I mean, because you're the kind of guy that's always you. And anybody we talk to who knows you, you're always you. You're that guy from Los Angeles. You're who you are. But LA is a complicated place when you're professionally you.
Yeah. Well, you know, it took. I didn't even notice that. Wow, I look sinister there. You know, it took me about 10 years to get used to LA. And I know I'm not actually making a joke. It was always really difficult for me. So I always felt a little bit more at home in New York. So, you know, that's...
And does LA have to be the place where you are?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you know, there's a lot of great things about it, too, you know? I mean, I ride a motorcycle everywhere, so I can do 12 months a year there, and I love that. So, I mean, that to me is fantastic, you know, and I like getting outside. I'm from Vancouver, so they're similar in that way. You can always go hiking, you know, there's always something to do, which is beautiful. But, yeah, it's a tough town, definitely.
Have you blogged lately for Huffington Post? You've done it a while, have you?
You know, I blog like once or twice a year for the Huffington Post. I love it. They're so great to me. I'm a big fan of their website.
It's neat because, you know, a guy like you is careful. Even though, you know, you have a high-profile career and a high-profile relationship, you can easily get caught up in a tabloidy world, but you do a relatively good job of sort of staying away from it. Except when I read your stuff on the Huffington Post, you say things. Yeah. Like you say things. You're I couldn't tell if you were joking completely about the seal hunt. Your blog.
Yeah, that was. I was kind of walking the tightrope there. I mean, you know, look, I think we can all agree that the seals are very dangerous. Yes. And, you know, they need to be stopped.
Dude, we have the Governor General on the show tomorrow. She eats seal heart raw.
Yes, and that's because she's a badass. You know what? I eat the souls of children with Sandra Bullock all the time. That's what we do. I don't, you know, I kind of, you know, you try not to be like a finger-wagging blowhard or anything like that, but, you know, I mean, those things like the seal hunt, you know, for me, they kind of freak me out. I wasn't condemning everything about it, but it's a touchy subject.
You also wrote about your dad.
Yeah,
I can imagine that was not an easy article, right? Your father's battling Parkinson's, right?
Yeah, he's been battling for 15 or 16 years now. Yeah.
And that.
Yeah. Well, I ran the marathon for the New York City Marathon last year for Michael J. Fox Foundation, and I did it, you know, primarily because I was getting really angry. You know, you see your parents and they're getting older, and I found myself with my dad, in particular with his illness, getting really kind of oddly pissed off, and I didn't know why, and I realized it was because I wasn't doing anything. I mean, I wasn't doing a thing about it. I mean, I was educating myself about the disease, but other than that, I did nothing. So in order to kind of quell that, I realized I needed to do something about my apathy, and to help out, I just thought, you know, I'm gonna run a marathon. I'm gonna raise a bunch of money, and I raised $100,000 for the Michael J. Fox Foundation, and that's tough to do. Thank you. Thank you. It's tough to do in a rough economy. So you know, I felt like I could, and I wrote about it on the Huffington Post as well.
It's funny though, if you think, oh, he's just a regular jogger he's a marathon runner who just decided. Then the whole piece starts off with how you stumbled to watch these people one day finish, and you could never in a million years have done that because their nipples were bleeding.
I mean, there's all kinds of people are just falling apart. Yeah. I mean, you know, you have perfectly young men and women that all cross the finish line looking exactly like the Golden Girls. And you're like, what the hell happened to you? I mean, like Abe Vigoda running by. I'm 26. You know, you're just like, whoa. So that, you know, I remember sitting there thinking that just sounds like the worst thing you could ever do. I remember right before I was running the marathon, I was standing there on Staten Island right before the Verrazano Bridge, and it's freezing cold at 6:30 in the morning, and this woman looks up at me, and I think she's obviously run some marathons before. I mean, I can see her spine through her shirt. And
through the front of her, you can see it?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, you can see right through. She was actually translucent. But I remember she walked walked up to me. I thought she was going to give me some words of encouragement. You know, it brings out everything. It brings out all sorts of weird emotions in everybody. You know, some people are really pumped up, some people are freaked out. And she looked at me and said, "Hey, you're running. This is your first marathon?" I said, "Yeah." And she said, "Yeah. Now you'll know what childbirth feels like."
Taxi.
Yeah. What do I owe you money? What is your problem, lady?
Nice.
Oh my God! And she was right, you know. But in the end, I was really happy I did it. You know, it was something I feel really proud of. We raised a lot of money, and you know, you can't take that away. And I don't care what anyone's time is. If they finish that thing, I don't care if they have to moonwalk across the frickin' state. You know, it's amazing.
The Proposal it's a really good movie. It's also funny, and you'll cry. So you'll laugh and you'll cry. So bring tissues if that's your bit. But then, you're doing the next Wolverine movie, the next X-Men movie? Is that a done deal?
Yeah. Well, yeah. The idea is to do Deadpool, just the character that I played in Wolverine, and bring him to life in a way that's really true to the source material of the comic book. So we'll see. I never say I'm doing a movie until I'm breaking for lunch on like the 15th day, because you never know. You know, you just never know.
Absolutely.
But, yeah.
It's good to see you, man. Thanks for coming in.
Thank
New
you
film is
very
called
much.
The Proposal. It's in theaters June the 19th. Go see it. Ryan Reynolds, everyone.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.